Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. We've got some fun projects for you today. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be working on our magical pumpkin. And this is a real beautiful pumpkin that we have created out of a pumpkin from the dollar store. And I actually got this at the Dollar Tree, but some of your other stores will carry them as well. And we want to make this look fantastic. We can turn this from this, so we can turn our little pumpkin into this beautiful magical pumpkin. So we're going to get busy and create that. Of course, the first thing we're going to do is remove our tag. And I want to show you the difference and why we're going to do this step. We're actually going to Mod Podge our brown paper, shipping paper, packing paper, whatever you want to call it. And if you don't have any available, your little brown lunch bags work as well too. So you have some different items that you can use. But you can usually find it in rolled up. I find it at the dollar store sometimes, but at your Walmart in the shipping area or different things like that. So in a lot of it, it'll last you a long time. Another thing I use that for is the inside, to cover the inside of my gourds with. I like the texture and the thickness of it. But the reason we're going to cover our pumpkin is this one is not covered, and I want to show you how you see the seam all the way around. And I don't like that look. I want to make it real more professional looking than this nice pumpkin. And so we get rid of this seam. So we're simply just going to tear these off in pieces probably about that big and just put it directly on with your Mod Podge and your brush, and you want to use an old brush and just put it on all the way around your pumpkin and let that dry. I didn't do the top because we're going to end up covering that anyway, and because of the paper, the thickness of it, we only need one coat. I tried to use tissue paper, like a pumpkin colored tissue paper, but the tissue paper on this project was just too thin. So that didn't work, just in case you think about that. So once we've got the Mod Podge on and we've let it dry, we're going to base coat it. And I'm going to use tomato spice. I'm going to use a darker, richer red color. And we're using a thicker color because it base coats well. And we don't have to do a few layers on it, unlike pumpkin or red, bright red, those colors, you have to put a few layers on. So, and that, not only that, it gives it the deep richness of our base. So that's the reason that we're using that color. And I'm going to start with the bottom. Got something on there. And we're just going to base coat the whole thing red. Okay, now that our red has dried, we're going to sponge on our pumpkin color. And I'm just using a regular craft sponge here. You use them a lot in your scrapbooks and different things like that. It's just a craft circular one. And this one gives it a smoother finish than a natural one, but it still gives it a textured look, and that's what we're going for. I already pre-wet it. I wring it out. You don't want any water left in it. You just want it damp. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to sponge. And we're going to sponge heavily, more heavy than we normally do. And I'm going to start at the bottom and start working my way up. And the reason is because we're covering more than usual. Sometimes we're just adding a highlight or doing something different. But what we kind of want to do is stay out of the crevices as much. So I'm going to sponge down the bumpy area of the pumpkin, and then when I get those two together, I'm going to kind of sponge right over the middle so that you get that red crease right there, so that you can see that dark red color. and that gives you more dimension in your pumpkin. So we're going to keep doing that all the way around here. You can see on this pumpkin I have a little bit more texture from the paper, and I thought I would like it more, but I think if I did it again I would not have it more flat. But there's no right or wrong on how you put the paper on. So we're going to go ahead and do this all around our pumpkin, and then I'm going to sponge a little bit more in this area, and I'm not worried about my stem, and we're going to let that dry, and we're going to come back and we're going to put on our highlights. Okay, now that our pumpkin color is dry, we're going to come back in with our highlight color, which I'm going to use apricot, which is a kind of a yellowish orange, and we're going to highlight just on the very fattest part, the part that would have a reflection light off of, and not too much because we don't want to color up too much of our pumpkin. So we have all these different layers or colors of our pumpkin. Now there, I got it too dark. When you hit it too dark like that, come back and wipe over that with a clean area, and it'll pick some of that paint off. Now to keep from doing that, come in and pounce your sponge quite a few times before you come to your pumpkin. And we're just going to hit all those little ridges and see how great that highlight helps even round our pumpkin a little bit more. And we're going to go ahead and do that all the way around, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put our glitter on it. Okay, now that our little pumpkin is dry all the way, we're going to go ahead and put our glitter on. And I'm just going to use regular glitter. I'm going to take a sheet of paper and I'm going to fold it in half so we can put the glitter back into the container. Just pour it right out back into the container. And I'm just going to use a regular glue. You could use craft glue if you wanted to. And I'm just going to come down on my pumpkin, different lengths, not too much glue, you don't want a lot. You don't want it real heavy textured, it's better if it's lighter. You don't want it running. And then I'm going to put a little bit more right here. So now that we've got those on, I'm going to come back in, and I always start at the bottom so that you get that rounded kind of look and you don't get that drip. Just bring those all the way up to the top. And I'm going to use a glitter, really fine glitter, a poly glitter is what you'd call it, just so it's really nice and fine. And it's actually a polyester glitter is what it is. So it's really fine. And I like the gold, it's really rich. You could use other colors. You could use a purple, which would really be cool. Give it that Halloween kind of a look if you wanted to. Or after you put the glitter on, you didn't have to use the glitter, you could use the melted crayon that I do. That would look, when you could either put it on after the glitter or before the glitter for a different look as well. You also could do your pumpkin all glitter if you wanted to do it after you put the brown paper on. and make it a really spectacular pumpkin. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Well, let's just go ahead and do it. We don't have that much left here. And you want to make sure that you get all the white covered. You don't want to leave any of the white uncovered. You can do more than this. That's fine. And make sure your middle's covered real well. And then I take a brush after I'm done with this and brush off the extra glitter after it's dry. And then I'm going to dump this back into my glitter so that I don't waste any. So I'm going to let this dry, and after it's dry, what I want you to do is varnish it really, really well. The varnish keeps your paint and your glitter all in place. So we're going to do that and then come on back and we're going to finish up. Alright, let's go ahead and finish up our pumpkin. I found these wonderful leaves and I love them and fell in love with them, and they came from Joann Fabrics, and I believe there was 6 in a pick for $1.99, and then they were on sale, so they were real inexpensive. The only thing I really didn't like about them is they were so big, but I love the color and the richness of these. So what I did is I actually used these and just cut them down. So the first leaf is easy. We're just going to come in. I'm going to clip that middle part. And there is our first leaf all nice and done. Now the other ones we're going to have to work a little bit more for here. And I like the red color. So I'm going to get the red one. Now where it's flat, it's coming in, just come in and clip those a little bit so that it looks like it belongs a little bit better. And I kind of put that on the inside so you don't see that as much as you do on the outside. And then on this one, let me use this part right here. So we still have 2 parts that we could use basically for something else or another one. And again, the same thing, kind of trim it a little bit in so that it's not flat. And this one's going the other direction, so that's nice. It'll just fit right in there as well. And that doesn't have to be pointed right there because we're going to stick it in as well. And then I use paper twist to make my pumpkin tops or my stems. And if you're a craft person, you have paper twist. If you're a gourd person and you coil, you may have fiber, rush, or paper core, and you can use that as well. Those are just a little bit more sturdy and nicely wrapped. And I need 2 pieces to go all the way around our little pumpkin hair stem. So we're going to do 2 pieces, and I kind of cut them the same size. And I'm going to be working on a few of these, and if you have them and working them in stages, by the time you get done with, a few, your first one will be dry and you can just keep going down the line, and it won't take that long to do them. I'm going to be doing some of these for the fall for church. So if I line them up, the longest thing it's going to take me is decoupaging them. But as you're painting them, the paint will dry fast enough by the time you get done with a few of them that you'll be able to go right back to the first one. Alright, so I'm going to put my glue gun on a low temp setting, and we're going to glue this bottom little area, and we're going to wrap it just around that part of our stem. And we're going to do that again on the other side. and then overlap it and cover it up. That's okay if it overlaps. Just want to make sure it covers it. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to start to twist it, and we're going to leave it kind of loose. And I really like to have two come off, and what I did is I angled it. So you don't have a straight cut at the end. So if it was natural, it wouldn't look that way. Let's see which way this guy's wrapping here. And give it more of a realistic stem. If you wanted to make it a little bit darker, you could paint it or spray it or come in and just put some darker lines in it with a paintbrush. There. That looked really neat. So we've got that going. So I'm going to put my leaves right here. And of course I'm going to use the base, the bigger one. I'm going to cut this guy square because we're butting up against this. I want him more square so he fits in a little bit closer. You remember, you're only doing it a little bit. It's only going to walk out just a tad on your pumpkin. Not very far. And then I'm going to do whichever direction those guys were kind of going. So the middle part that doesn't show a lot is on the inside. And I'm going to lift them up a little bit instead of laying them flat. We'll lift them. See if I have better luck with this other one. So that they're not flat and straight down. I just want to lift them up. There we go, looks a little bit better. And then it still needed just a little something. So what I did is I had another little fall pick, and it only takes a couple of pieces of this. And actually, when I did it, one was too long, and I actually divided it in half. So just take it right below one of your little guys, and we're just going to glue that right in for that, just that little bit of pop color that we need. And I'm going to glue it right underneath those leaves, kind of. Don't need too much glue. That's right in there. And that, the only other thing we did is I like to use all of my parts. So I took my part of my leaf, my wire part, and I wrapped it around a pencil. I'm going to grab a pencil. So I've used all of my leaf. I've made use of my wire instead of throwing it away. And this one bends very hard, but I like the organic rich look. It kind of goes with the rest of our pumpkin. And we're going to take him and we're going to slide him under this guy right there and have him going the other direction, and that's going to finish him off. And I know you've heard me in my videos, say a lot of times, use what you have. That's a good example of using what we have. I never throw my wires away in my leaves. Okay, so there is our magic little pumpkin. And we've turned what is not a wonderful looking pumpkin into an extraordinary pumpkin. We had the fairy come and do her magic on it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please come over and visit all my different YouTube videos. You can find them at miriamjoy.com. There's a YouTube link that'll take you on over to see more magical fun that we're having. Thank you and God bless.